Welcome back, viewers. This is CCR TV and I'm Frederick Noronha. Today with me we have an interesting guest who's known by just one word, the Festacar. So Marius Fernandes, also known as Mario earlier, has been organizing this series of festivals which all of you all have heard about. More about that later. But first we'll start off with his vision for Goa and why he's doing what he's doing. Tell us, Mario.
Thank you very much for having me on the program. Yes, I'll begin from where I first started. I was born in Kenya, lived my life in the UK, and returned back to Goa as my social responsibility 22 years ago. And when I first came to Goa, one of the first things I was involved in was, by coincidence, a festival in Diwar called Bandera Festival. And as usual, that what happens in the villages, as soon as a new person comes, people gather around you and rope you in. That was a great experience, actually. And I realized what Goa was there in my first few months.
I see.
Yeah, because I saw at the festival what happens. They straight away want a chief guest. They want sponsors. Sponsors means money. And to raise more money, they want alcohol. Alcohol companies are in. Prizes, competition, that's all part of the
It's
festivals.
a vicious cycle.
Yeah. So I'm a member of Samathiya Sports Club in the first year. It was shocking. The festival was supposed to start at 3 and it did not start till 6. And I'm the only fool asking them, why are thousands of people just waiting? And they kept saying to me, why are you getting excited? I said, okay, 3, 4, 5, 6. And the reason they were waiting for was the chief guest did not turn up.
Of course, this is not a criticism of the Samathiya Sports Club, but it's a generic trend that is
everywhere,
happening all over.
But it happened to me personally now. I'm now the chief guest doesn't turn up. They somehow find out she's not going to come.
Okay.
Was the tourism minister of Goa. So anyway, that was 3 hours late and everybody's happy. I mean, it's okay, 3 hours on the street. Next morning I wake up and say, this is not for me. I have got to do something different. And that's when it started, the idea that I have to do it my own way. And I'll have to somehow get like-minded people on board.
That was amazing. I remember an interview we did in a very tiny restaurant about 20 years back,
Yes,
as you said.
Yes.
And there itself you made this point that we have to have no chief guest, no funding,
Yeah.
no competitions, no prizes.
Yes.
Amazing vision.
Yeah, so, but it cannot just happen in Goa. So I kept meeting, lots of friends and they're saying, this is Goa, no alcohol, it's never going to work. I said, it's going to work. This is going to happen. And they said, how are you going to do it? I said, look, kids in school, do they drink? Are they interested in alcohol? There are women here, disabled, it's all
Large
sorts of
section,
people.
large section.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking about the men, generally. So anyway, first project starts in Our Lady of Diwar High School, a 15-day summer camp. And that's where I invite few of my like-minded friends to turn up every day. And they did. So we had yoga in the morning, football in the afternoon, quiz, music. 15 days, got the whole island of Diwar on board. And including food. And there's no money involved. So the project is working. And you don't need many. You need a few volunteers. Basically, they have to be like-minded. So Diwar, I stayed in Diwar. We had a music school that was run there with Father Peter Cardos.
That is another interesting story, How you got it started.
Yes.
Could you take a minute or two to?
Yeah, so after the camp, then I see so much talent on the island. There are kids who can play, sing, dance. Now how to give them, make them specialized. So by coincidence, the school ropes me in the PTA. So
Your kids were there that time?
Yeah, Ashley and Gemma were in the school, Our Lady of Diwar High School. So I'm in the PTA. And straight away I suggested, let's have a music school, taekwondo school, vermicomposting. And they said, yeah. So then...
Where do you get people from?
So one of the best schools in Goa at that time was Pilar Music School with Father Peter Cardozo. We go and meet him and convince him to send 5 teachers to Diwar.
I remember the story you told me. You all begged of him to start something there and he said it wasn't possible.
Yeah, so he was a bit concerned that you had to cross a ferry. and his teachers, would not be able. But after we meeting the teachers, they all agreed. So we had a batch of about 100 students from Diwar in the music school.
And before that, your sob story was that this was this great musical place which had lost its talent.
Yeah, so Diwar basically is two villages in one. Villages of Samathias and Golti Navilim. Samathias village, almost every house had a musician and had at its peak 4 brass bands.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So, and a lot of our people from Diwar ended up in Bombay, stayed in the Coods, and then played, for theaters. So, great musical tradition. And if you go to Panjim, I mean, Pedro Fernandes is from our village, the music
The big
store.
music shop.
Yeah.
Before,
and Furtadas as well have got links.
I see.
Diwar, yeah. So this is huge tradition that has died over the years. So with the revival of the Pilar Music School, now 20 years later, I see a lot of those kids now full time. They have got their own choir groups, they've got bands, they're playing all over the world.
And this music school was for children and parents?
Anybody. So the age of group from 8 to 80, anybody could come. And we had a lot of older people in the music school. So you had music, and Father Pirta Cardos is a world-class music teacher. He did test. You couldn't tell him, oh, my son wants to be a guitarist. He would do a test and say, oh, pianist, violinist. Yeah. So I had both my children, Ashley and Gemma, and he said, Ashley is going to be a genius. And I said, oh, really? Gemma would be okay. And he was true. Ashley ended up being a sound engineer, in London, but only because I had opened the music school. From Diwar, you would not, they don't dream of going to Panjim to study, being an island in those days. So the music school project worked. And then I had a football school now. We've got a football club called the Goa United Football Academy with thousands of kids all over Goa, playing for them, and some of the kids are playing for FC Goa and the national team.
So in the music school, just to get it right, volunteering worked, but also the beneficiaries were paying their fees.
Yeah. So basically the idea is there are so many schools in Goa. The buildings are there. It works from 7 in the morning till about 3. And what happens to the building in the evenings?
Unutilized.
Yeah. So I thought of that idea, the rooms, if I could convince the school to give us 5 rooms. One would be the guitar, one would be the violin, solfeggio, and so on. And the Diwar school, had the vision to give it to us. So we ran that school for 3 years. We didn't pay them. The children paid Pilar Music School, and we were just volunteers.
And the music school sent their students to teach?
Yeah,
senior students.
Yeah, professionals from Pilar Music School.
Yeah.
So it was a win-win situation for everybody. And today you can see the results. There's so many kids playing in Diwar.
But then cut and jump to the festivals.
Yeah.
First we'll talk about the range of festivals, then we'll talk about their logic. How many festivals so far and what range? What? So I might just add that the festivals we are talking about are not the traditional Goan festivals that have existed, but these are all festivals created out of Marius's head.
Yeah.
Like?
All. Yeah. Until the pandemic, we were 58 festivals. And recently, we've started again with the Ambiance Fest, and then so we've reached 62.
Name of some of the festivals?
Patoanje Fest, which is going to be held in August. Rampon Kanaje Fest, which happened in Arambol. Gumtanje Fest, Ponsaje Fest, Kazunje Fest, so on.
You have to know Konkani to understand all these aspects of Goan life, but it's very colorful.
Yeah. And it worked, and now we're going to be starting with new ones. Interestingly, Patoanje Fest has found a new home. It's moving to Markai on the 15th of August. This year, I'll be involved in the Bonderas, Samathias Bonderas, starting with something called the Bonderanchi Pasoi, a walk around the village with a brass band, flags, visiting people's homes, and the villages will generously, give sweets, and all that's going to happen. That's on the 20th. And a brand new festival is starting in the beautiful village of Pilen, called Matieche Fest.
Festival of Mud.
Yeah, Festival of the Soil of Goa.
The soil.
Yeah, so that has already, work is in progress.
Without getting into the details, your wider point here is that festivals can help us to celebrate the uniqueness of Goa, different aspects of it. It can be done voluntarily without money, it can be sustainable, it can build community. What else?
Yeah, so every village, I always tell people, every village in Goa is a country. Every village.
Republic.
Yes. There is so much talent in the villages. Now, Merkai, when we are going to be going next month, I was amazed. I spent one day there, and the amount of skills they have in the villages. Those people are up from the grassroots. They're working in their fields. So they'll be coming on that day, with all their ranges of skills. Now, what are their skills? They are garland makers, flowers. They can make patoyos. They know mongone. They know kotkote and the foods of Goa. So they'll be doing all that. On the other side, Pilan, which is in Bardes. They have got totally different skills. So they're more into football, sports.
And they're doing it with non-commercial motives?
There is no chief guest, there is no sponsors, there's no alcohol, nothing.
And they're serving food without charging or with some small charge?
It depends, we'll see how to do it, but mostly, so far, most of our festivals, everything was for free. Yeah.
Wow. Because, to create digital products for free is one thing. It doesn't cost. Here, there is a cost involved.
Yeah,
so, what's the magic?
Yeah. So, I never create the festivals on my own. I have to be approached, that's when, if they approach me, they want you. So, once I go to a village, somebody calls me and I said, can you get 5 like-minded people? I'm not interested who are there. 5 like-minded, I'll speak to them. And after I speak to these 5 people, I've never failed so far, by the way.
You would be a good salesman?
Well, I've been able to sell Goa, to the Goans. No, it's worked.
Community salesperson.
Yeah, it's worked. So then we usually end up in the churches because they have halls. And then I tell them, please bring as many people you all can. Yeah. And about 100 people turn up. And then we talk to them for about half an hour saying, can you give one day for Goa? Just one day for your village? Is it possible? And then they said, yeah, but we don't have money. I said, we don't need money. Can you give a bit of rice, tomatoes, chicken, whatever? Then they start,
This is a 21st century version of the miracle of loaves and fishes. When everyone contributes a little, then you get this huge surplus.
So a lot of people say, we don't have money, we don't know how to cook. But then I said, yeah, but there is a job. Can you collect the garbage on the day? Can you sing? Can you dance? And that's how we get the whole village involved.
So Pilan, with pride.
Yeah, so with Pilan now I've got a new experiment going, not experiment, a new way. We're having a 5-day camp. So 5 days prior to the festival there'll be a camp, and I've already asked for musicians, singers. So Pilan will have their own band, live band performing at the fest. And they will be composing new songs. So there'll be new songs composed, a brand new band will be formed. There will be a theatre group, Pilan Theatre Group is being formed, all to perform at the fest. And interesting story about Pilan, 1918 pandemic, we believe, I'm doing some research, was a potter's village. A lot of potters came from that area, and during the pandemic, a lot of them moved to Vade.
From Pilan?
Pilan.
Vade Sukur.
Sukur, yes. Duler, Mapsa, Sholim. And still today, if you go to Vade and Sukur, they are known as Pilan Kar. Yes. So I go back to Pilan last week and I found a Vado, Kumar Vado. So we're going to celebrate the soil, the pottery, and the pots of.
So there is some logic why a certain festival is celebrated in a certain area.
And it's going to be an interesting fest. There are going to be new experiments. It's going to be a zero waste fest. Means we are going to tell people to bring their own plates, cups from home. Food will be there, tea will be there, but you better bring your own cups and saucers. We do not want any garbage at the fest. So there'll be some new ideas at the fest.
Very interesting. Very interesting.
So
actually you made it work over the last so many years.
No, it's worked. And out of that has come some tremendous talent in Goa.
You believe that Goans have this cooperative spirit, whether reflected as our friend Father Visita Sao Montero argues, whether reflected in the world of the Kurds or in the world of the Comunidades, Gaonkariya, whatever we call them?
No. see there are so many like-minded people all over Goa. At the moment, the focus is we're basically reacting in Goa. At the moment, you know, social media plays a huge role, and only the negative stuff of Goa is portrayed.
News is largely negative.
Yeah, everywhere, and that is being repeated, and it's shared. The good news lives in the villages of Goa. So you have to make an effort to go in the villages. So I'm just saying now already, I'm talking to you. I've just remembered 3 more festa are coming in Salset. They've approached me, so Nustekarache Fest is coming in Benaudem and Majodha. So everywhere we go, people want this idea, you know, that because there are many like-minded people all over Goa, they haven't got a voice.
True.
And through this festival, you know, a lot of them come out, a lot of them feel empowered. And
they feel humanized in a certain sense, that people, for the first time, you're telling them that you have value.
Yeah, see, there's no chief guest. I basically tell them there's no chief guest. Everybody who attends the festival is a chief guest on the day. You know, you can come, you can talk, you can create, and you can meet people. One of the festivals.
You're a great networker, aren't you?
No, we have connections, around the world, because from Kenya. So we have some influence in Africa, we were in Europe. So
no, but personally you're a networker also. You believe in the power of networking.
Yeah, it works.
It works.
It
makes
works
a difference.
Yeah. You don't need money for networking. And our festivals now, from now onwards, will be inclusive. So I try and get as many people from the differently able communities in, you know, the blind, the people in wheelchairs are going to be part of our festivals.
Who also are waiting to be made part of.
Yeah, there are about 12,000 in Goa.
12,000.
Yes.
12,000.
Yeah, in their homes, you know, there are blind, white sticks they call them.
I see.
Yeah, deaf, all that, they are not included. So these festivals are going to include them. I've done 2-3 festivals for them already, you know, so I sort of know what the background is. So we've got that going, we've got women going. So most of the festivals today in Goa are driven by women. Yeah. So Patoyoche Fest will be completely, fully driven by women, because you have to wake up 5 in the morning. Yeah.
It's hard work, but they're also looking for leadership positions.
No, so they're getting empowered.
Yeah.
Straight away at the festival, people get to see, oh, she knows to make patoyos. Next week she'll get an order. You know, they can have their own businesses.
Also the confidence, they've gained confidence in the meanwhile.
It's basically a stage. The festival is a stage. You are on the stage, performing in front of people, televisions. Your children now have got mobiles. They take your photo, and, you know, I mean,
it's empowering them.
Not only empowering, and the next stage for them is to open small markets. So we've already sort of opening market in Pilan after the festival. We might end up having a Pilan evening market on a Thursday. So work is already in progress. So all the skills that we see at the festival will be local. So local people will be having a local market. People from our other Vadas won't be allowed. It will only be local. So if we have a festival, a market in every village in Goa.
That's badly needed, no? Because
and the potential is there. There are so much skill. There are artists, painters, you know, in every village in Goa.
Totally untapped. Totally untapped.
Not touched. Sweet. The amount of sweets we have, the breads of Goa. All that is available, and we know how to make it. We know to sing. We know to dance. So the market model for Pilan is the local. Say we have 15 stalls. A musician to be given a stage every Thursday. Painters to sell their paintings. Comedy corner. Yeah, all that is the idea.
Right.
And it will happen.
Fascinating. What is the Gumot doing on our table? Tell us the story.
It's the story of the Gumot. So my mom, my grandparents' parents have had a great influence on me. When we were in Africa, the only instrument they knew of Goa was the Gumot. 1972, the Gumot was banned. The skin of the monitor lizard, which was actually on top, was banned. 72.
72.
So since 72 till 2019, we've been playing the Gumot illegally. The government makes their rules and break their ruls. Yeah. It happened because in the Kala Academy, there's a Manta festivals.
I see.
And I used to see them with the skin of the monitor lizard. So I had formed a children's group band with Ashley, my son, Jama singing. And I was desperately looking for a Gumot, and I could not find a Gumot. Because a few men had the Gumot. And a few men had the Gumot. And they are not going to give it to anybody. So
it was precious, no? When it was not available.
You can't. And they were not made, not many. So then the process started Lahore to highlight this instrument. So every festival has to bring some gumots, keep it there. But it's illegal because the skin was of the monitor lizard.
God.
Eventually, we did a proposal to the government in 2018. In 2019, the government of Goa made the gumot the state instrument of Goa. And very specifically, they mentioned without the monitor lizard skin.
I see.
Yeah. Now, what had happened was we killed two birds in one shot. We saved the monitor lizard, and I can estimate in the last 4 years, 1920, we would have saved about 20,000 monitor lizards.
Really?
Yeah, that's a huge thing.
It's widely used both by Christian and Hindu communities.
Yeah, gumot is a secular instrument, like patoyos. These are two things which are completely secular in Goa. So the gumot was saved. Ashley's project played a key role. He did a project finding an alternative to the monitor lizard skin. And now any legal skin, with a sheep skin, goat skin, can be used. The next process now is the state instrument of Goa. We need to open music schools, gumot schools. We need gumot teachers, gumot clubs, and gumot makers. If you are Goan, only a Goan knows what a gumot is. You can go to Punjab and ask him. He's got no idea what a gumot is. You go to Nigeria, he doesn't have a clue.
No other parts of India?
Nobody in the world has a clue except the Konkan belt.
Konkan.
Yeah, but Goa is the hotbed of the gumot.
I see.
And very few people are left to make the gumot. It could go extinct anytime. Very few people, and only a few Goans know to make it.
I see.
Yeah. So it's in danger, despite
there
being
is some
state.
acoustics involved? Quite a bit.
So yeah, it's not just anybody can do it. You have to have a musical ear for a start.
I see.
Yeah. And some of them add a bit of glass in the mud when they mix, and play, because they're handmade. Most of it is handmade. So it's 5 bits. So one bit is done by one guy. The middle part is another person. The top is another person. The skin is another person. The sum is another person. And the fitter is a different person.
Oh gosh.
And then it needs to be heated in the sun. And the performer is the last. Yeah, so there are about 7 people in the process.
See, we don't appreciate what work goes into it. No, it sells at what now? What's the price?
So there was only any price with the monitor lizard. It was 1,000 and all that. So I basically came up with 5 different sizes.
I see.
So one for the youngsters, a very small one at 200. Then for women, 400. And then for amateurs, 600. And professional, 800, and so on.
Yeah.
We are going for the world record at the Matieche Fest because the gumot is going back home to Pilen. We are hoping to have the most musical instrument played at the same place at the same time.
Really? Yeah. How many?
I'm expecting 1,000 people to come with 1,000 gumots. Well, gumots, there are other instruments.
Okay.
Yeah, all instruments we brought. There's a mandain, which is a Goan instrument.
Yeah.
That's going extinct, by the way.
I see.
There is only 4 or 5 people left who can make it.
Really?
Yeah, and that's a Catholic instrument. This survived because it's a Hindu and Catholic instrument together.
For Ganesh and other things, it's also great.
That one of the greatest musical instruments in the world is going extinct. You can hardly get one now. And if you
I've not seen it. I've only read about it in books.
It is growing. I bought one yesterday because I'm trying to get as many as I can. Soon they won't be makers of the mandai, and that is going to be a tragedy. Perhaps even older than this instrument.
Marius, you feel that expats have something to give back to Goa? Yours is a dramatic case, but otherwise?
Well, a huge amount, because...
Why?
First, when I was in Kenya and later in the UK, every Goan you meet, they're always talking about Goa.
Absence makes the heart grow fonder.
Yeah, but it was amazing. It wasn't with Gujaratis and Punjabis.
I see.
Yeah, not as a Goan. Secondly, because whole of Europe, besides one in Lisbon, we don't have a club of our own. Yeah, we are not that united to get together and have a club. So we don't have a club. Our club is Goa.
I think the geography also doesn't allow for that, no? Unlike East Africa where you had clubs in.
Yeah, but in London, you see, every community has got a club.
I see.
They've got hundreds, Punjabis, Gujaratis, everyone.
Physical clubs?
Yes. They've got temples. We are the only people, we don't have a church, but a bordered Irish church. Yeah, and we don't have any clubs. Nothing, we just borrow everything at the moment in London. So Goa becomes our home. using the internet, always thinking about Goa, its food, and at Christmas they come here. But
used to be May.
Yeah, that was earlier, but now it's Christmas.
Yes.
Because of the
Climate
flights.
change,
Yeah. So I meet so many of them, and they have a fear when they come back. They want to come back, but have a fear, they think they'll be exploited in Goa or something.
I think it's tough, yeah. The Goan also, the equation between the Goan and the expat is not so easy at all times.
So you have to be mad to be in Goa at the beginning, Yeah, I've got lots of people who are in Goa, and it's been a wonderful journey, Goa, because there's so much to be done, so much will happen.
But you need patience and you need that changeover, no?
And the language.
Language
is key. So I'm always grateful to our parents that they actually taught us Konkani in Africa and Europe.
Amazing.
And we did that with our children. Both our children speak Konkani. So they are now wanting to come back. So tremendous work can happen in every village in Goa, every wada actually. There is something or the other happening. But at the moment the focus is, not that I'm against religion or politics, but the focus is leaning towards religion at the moment and politics. At the moment we love that. And we are forgetting the networking side of it, which is, our culture, our food, our heritage, our music, which is all employment. And 22 years later, Goa is alive and kicking.
So on this note, I must really appreciate you for all you have done, the initiatives you have led. But more important than that, also this very positive, optimistic message, because we go and sometimes talk like the Gauls in Asterix comics, as if the sky is going to fall on our head tomorrow. And we forget to see the positives. Thanks, Marius. Thanks so much.
Yeah, thank you for having me. And it's a wonderful program. I've been watching CCR TV many times. Yeah,
it's the others who. Thank you.